for our next session, which is also our last session on this virtual stage. We have one more big group. I hope I am announcing everybody correctly and I'm not leaving out anybody. Otherwise, feel free to correct me. So now we will be welcoming to our virtual stage Paula Fonseca and Maria de Lourdes Martins, both from the Polytechnic Institute of Viseu. And then we are also welcoming Regina Brautlacht, who is the appointed Commissioner for Global Digital Learning at the Bonn-Rhein-Sieg University of Applied Sciences. And also joining them is, actually, I don't think I see her, but I have her in my program. I have Wendi Hulme also from Fanshawe College, but
she's not going to join us. No.
She's not going to join us. Okay,
no,
but I do see Kristi, Julian. So welcome. We are very much looking forward to your presentation, and yes, they will all be presenting on measuring the development of digital competences in teachers throughout the years in a multidisciplinary virtual exchange project, which sounds very fascinating, and we're very excited to hear your presentation. So the floor is yours.
Okay. Unfortunately, for some reason, Kristi and Lurdes, my computer is not allowing me to share. I apologize. So can one of you share the presentation? Sorry about these technical difficulties. They do occur. But for some reason, my computer is not allowing me to share the slides. Sorry about this.
Okay, let me just open. Okay, download.
So I don't know if you can hear me at all.
Yes, we can, Regina.
Okay, so it's not allowing me to do camera, so I've tried. So I have to download Teams on here. I'm actually at the conference right here. I'm in the mail room here trying to log in. It will not let me show myself, so I will just be listening and later on answering. So please excuse that.
Just okay. I'm trying to, I believe.
My apologies. I also had to download. And so I don't know why I couldn't share.
I just don't know if it's the last version, but I mean, okay. How, I don't know. Well, how can I make this?
It's not.
Okay, just give me a second then. Well,
Lurdes, it's not the presentation. Sorry.
Okay. Let me just. It's the first time I'm actually using, so I have to share. So, okay, I can share my screen then. Okay. This
there you go, that's the one.
Okay, there I go. And presentation mode then. Okay.
Is it working, Christian? Okay.
Okay, sorry about that, everyone.
If I can, okay, right. Okay, perfect.
Okay, so sorry about that. Vera, can we begin?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so good afternoon. My name is Paula Fonseca, and I'm here today to talk about measuring the development of digital competences in teachers throughout the years in a multidisciplinary virtual exchange project. This presentation is in collaboration with 4 other colleagues of mine, 2 of which will be presenting with me today, Lurdes Martins and Kristi Julian. And Regina, as she's mentioned, unfortunately, she does not have a camera, but she will be answering questions at the end. So thank you, Regina, for also letting us know that you are here and will be answering the questions. So ProGlobe is a higher education multidisciplinary virtual exchange project that involves 4 country partners: Portugal, the USA, Canada, and Germany. It offers a platform for collaborating with diverse students around the world to share and reflect on ideas of sustainable practices from 3 different disciplines: tourism, interior design, and management sciences business. We are 5 project coordinators. 3 of us have a language background and work in Europe, while 2 coordinators are from a design background and work in North America. We have been working together on this sustainable project for 4 years and have presented work about the project results in several international conferences. These presentations have always focused on the project and the learners' outcomes, and have never focused on our own digital competences as educators in higher education through the use of an international virtual exchange project. Therefore, the aim of this presentation is to share with you the results of a digital competence survey each one of us took to discover how digitally competent we are and to what extent this virtual exchange project has helped us progress and develop our own digital competencies. We can all agree that the world we live in today is heavily dependent on digital technology. People all over the world are relying on digital skills for their everyday life in education and work. But does everyone possess the necessary digital skills to live in such a world? Well, to address this issue in Europe, the Joint Research Center, on behalf of the European Commission, created DigComp, a critical tool for understanding digital competence. It is for this reason we decided to use it to help us better understand where each one of us stands in this area. The Digital Competence Framework for Citizens is a project which started in 2010 to develop and measure digital competence for citizens in all areas. In 2013, the first framework was published to identify and describe the key areas of digital competence. But what do we mean by digital competence? Well, according to the internet sociologist Anders Skaal, digital competence is a combination of knowledge, skills, and attitudes with regards to the use of technology to perform tasks, solve problems, communicate, manage information, collaborate, as well as to create and share content effectively, appropriately, securely, critically, creatively, and independently and ethically. Therefore, DigComp serves as a tool to improve citizens' digital competence. As we can see here, the DigComp conceptual reference model is a combination of 21 competences grouped in 5 main areas: information and data literacy, communication and collaboration, digital content creation, safety, and problem solving. Based on the DigComp conceptual model, the DigComp Edu is a framework which describes which competences educators at all levels of education need in order to use digital media appropriately and to its full potential. The framework identifies 6 areas in which digital competence of educators is expressed, with a total of the 22 competences. The first area, professional engagement, is directed at how to further teacher professional development to improve the digital media skills and strengthen communication with others, like networking with other colleagues from other schools and other interested parties, not only for their own individual professional development, but also for the collective good of the organization they belong to. The core of this model consists of the next 4 areas: digital resources, teaching and learning, assessment, and empowering learners, where educators can further develop didactically, methodologically, and pedagogically to develop better strategies when using digital media within their classroom and teaching in order to strengthen the students' autonomy. The last area, facilitating learners' digital competence, details the specific pedagogic competences required to facilitate the students' digital competence. The framework also proposes a progression model to help educators assess and develop their digital competence. It outlines 6 different stages through which an educator's digital competence typically develops, so as to help educators identify and decide on their specific steps to take to boost their competence at the stage they are currently at. So, for example, the first 2 stages, the newcomer, A1, and the explorer, A2, educators assimilate new information and develop basic digital practices, whereas at the following 2 stages, integrator B1 and B2, they apply and further expand and structure on their digital practices. It's at the highest stages, leader C1 and pioneer C2, they pass on their knowledge, critique existing practice, and develop new practices. The Digital Competence Wheel is an online tool available in 10 languages that maps digital competence. It is a 15-minute survey with a number of descriptors from the framework I've just presented to you, where each individual has to rate themselves on this 7-star scale. The purpose is to provide an overview of the digital competence level each one of us possesses and which competences we need to improve. The results of the survey indicate the personal competence profile, which visually illustrates the digital competence strengths and weaknesses of each individual, as can be seen in the image on this slide to the left. Upon completion of the survey, each one of us is provided with a total score, a level of digital competence, the top 3 competences with the highest scores, and our top 3 with the lowest scores. Each one of us, each one of the 5 coordinators of this ProGlobe virtual exchange project took this survey. And what we're going to do now in this part of the presentation is present the results of all 5 of these surveys. So Lurdes and Kristi, I give you the floor.
Thank you, Paula. So after each one of us completed the self-assessment survey, we got these results. So we have to acknowledge when looking that all of us are at the highest level, so C1 and C2. And interestingly, we can see that the 2 coordinators from Portugal and the coordinator from Germany are currently at C1 level, called leader, and the coordinators from the USA and Canada are at C2 level, so the highest level, called pioneer. So now let's take a look at these results in more detail. Here we have each individual top 3 of competencies with highest scores, and taking a first look, we can see some similarities in terms of competencies with highest scores. For example, we can find organizational communication as one of the competencies with the highest score, both in our German coordinator and in our American coordinator. So we tried to make some sense out of all this, and we analyze the top 3 of each one of us, and we were able to identify 5 competencies with the highest score. So we have organizational communication, digital content creation, accessibility and inclusion, teaching and reflective practice, and digital continuous professional development. So if we think of the 6 major areas that Paula has presented, we can group these 5 competencies in 2 major areas. So area 1, professional engagement, and area 3, teaching and learning. As she mentioned, professional engagement is directed at the broader professional environment. For instance, educators' use of digital technologies in professional interactions with colleagues, learner, and other parties, but for their own individual development, but also for the collective good of their institutions. Then we have also area 3, so teaching and learning, which refers to educators' specific digital competence to effectively orchestrate the use of digital technologies and the different phases and settings of the learning process. A question arises then: how has the ProGlobe project helped us develop digital competences, specifically these ones. And so we have here the two areas where we are stronger, and some activities from the ProGlobe that we believe have enhanced capacity building. So first, we have coordinators meetings. So as you can imagine, to organize and run and evaluate a virtual exchange project, we have to meet before the project, during the project and after the project. So before the project, to redesign the project goals, the intended outcomes, the project tasks, to prepare students' guidelines and the main platform where the students' guidelines and the project deliverables will be stored. During the project, all coordinators meet on a weekly basis. And why do we need to meet? Well, we need to meet to make sure, students are completing their tasks, to try to anticipate some problems, and to try to analyze the evidence that students also produce and see if we need to make changes to the initial plan. After the project, we analyzed, the students' survey results. We also had the students' feedback in order to see if we need to make changes or adjustments for the next edition of the project. Okay, we also have one of the highlights of the ProGlobe project is the ProGlobe conference. On the first image, you can see the poster of the 2022 conference, a hybrid conference, which took place on November 15. This conference is a conference for students. It's a conference organized by students. It's a conference for students. And but it also open to faculty and everyone who's interested from the different institutions. And this year we had around 200 virtual participants and more than 100 others attending physically in the different countries. The ProGlobe project also allowed us to create the consortium of virtual exchange together with other colleagues from other virtual exchange. This consortium aims to encourage the use of virtual exchange in learning, to provide an opportunity to exchange ideas, to share best practices and research outcomes, and also to build a community of virtual exchange practitioners. And it was precisely to build this community of virtual exchange practitioners and enthusiasts that we have organized some activities like the COVE workshop, which provided an insight on how to start a virtual exchange project and to discuss some pedagogical and some administrative challenges that these virtual exchanges can bring. And we also organized a virtual Lean Coffee, which was an opportunity to connect and interact with like-minded colleagues from around the world to promote then professional engagement. Well, about teaching and learning, as mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, the ProGlobe project is a multidisciplinary project where students work in international teams. Throughout the project, they have to complete different tasks that give them the opportunity to exchange ideas on sustainability and create knowledge together. Then the findings are presenting at the ProGlobe conference. In the project, students use a combination of different media tools to promote engagement, to boost creativity, and to enhance collaboration. Another example we would like to mention is that this is a student-centered project. We have students from 3 different areas, so from design, from business, and from tourism. And they gain insights from the different areas, allowing them to think critically and to transfer knowledge. So even though the main topic is sustainability, each country addresses sustainability from their own study area. Here you have an example from Portugal. So they focus on sustainable tourism. Well, But the digital competence will also allow us to know the areas we need to improve. And Kristi is going to tell you now about these.
Okay. After analysis of the digital SCORMs, we realized that there were two areas specifically that all the coordinators had a low score. For digital problem solving, in fact, all 5 of the coordinators scored the lowest in that area related to incorporation of learning activities, assignments, and assessments, which require learners to identify and solve technical problems or to transfer that technological information creatively to new situations. The second area was analyzing evidence, and for that, 3 coordinators scored lower, and that relates to generating, selecting, and critically analyzing and interpreting digital evidence on the learning, activity, performance, and progress in order to inform teaching and learning. For the digital problem-solving competencies, basically what we do for the project, as Professor Martin alluded to, is we have orientation workshops and video tutorials. And what those tutorials and workshops do are to provide a scaffold for helping the students perform the tasks during the project and to keep them student-driven and keep it student-centered. But what we forgot to do is incorporate those learning activities and assignments so that we could actually identify the digital problem areas and transfer that knowledge. So we're going to be open in the Q&A to suggestions as what you think we could do. For the analyzing and evidence competence, basically what we do for the project is we have activity track lists, we have that joint platform to store student data, and then we also have the exit interviews. And what we identified on that is we were all so busy teaching content for our disciplines and our classes and the project that we forgot that we didn't realize that we weren't actually addressing the digital evidence competencies and that we were missing possible areas for improvement, growth, and progress. So again, we're open to what, from the audience, possible suggestions of what we can do.
And that leads us to the conclusion. And after analyzing all this data, there's no doubt that the Brautlacht project has been playing an important role in developing our digital competences. But we wanted to know why there are different scores, or different levels. And then we believe there might be 2 reasons for this difference. One could be related to the different professional backgrounds. For example, the coordinators from Germany and Portugal, they have a language background, and languages, especially foreign languages, have been a fertile land for the implementation of virtual exchanges. Another reason we believe may explain this difference is this correlation between self-perception of digital competencies and the local or institutional expectations. For example, in Europe, we're expected to plan and to do virtual exchange. There have been many EU policies in order to try to enhance internationalization and digitalization of higher education. There have been grants to develop virtual exchange programs. For example, more recently, the Erasmus Plus, they have the blended intensive programs, which are courses that combine physical and virtual learning aimed at students, academic staff, and administrative staff. Another thing that we have realized is that when we compare to Canada and the USA, we have less support to handle technical problems. So as Kristi will now explain.
Okay. Yes, we have less expectations in education for North America. And although our individual accrediting bodies require exposure to evolving technologies and communication techniques, we are not provided as a rule, large grants to develop these competencies. And also there's not the same urging for virtual exchanges. The other thing that we realize in North America, and especially in design, that digital competencies are industry driven for us. So we are inherently using these software programs. And the other thing is that we do have more support. It's, again, this could be discipline driven, but an IT person is typically dedicated to a project, a program, or department. So we have
Thank you for your attention. We look forward to answering any questions you may have, and we welcome any comments or suggestions in helping us further boost and improve our digital competence level.
questions, feedback.
Thank you so much for your very interesting presentation. So everybody who is joining on the live stream, feel free to ask questions. For those who are here in our room where we are streaming, you are able to join via our conference app and then also access the YouTube chat. So if there are any questions, feel free.
Or even comments, like some
yes, or even
because that's what we would really like to know, what other people are doing and how they're solving this issue with how can we help our students with digital problem solving? How can we help them better work on this competence of analyzing evidence? So if anybody could share what they're doing in their own projects, that would be great. If we could learn from others, I think that's what conferences are all about, right? We're here to share, and we're also looking forward to knowing what other people are doing as well.
Yes, so any comments, please go ahead. I think we do have a bit of relay between us talking here and then it's streaming. I think it's about half a minute, so I will just ask the first question. I was actually wondering, are you planning to keep basically evaluating yourselves based on those different fields that you showed us to see if there were any improvements?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that we were surprised because when you complete this will or all the questions at the beginning, they ask you what level you think you are. And I believe all of us said we believed our level was lower. So I'm speaking for myself, I thought I was a B2. And then you complete the questions, and before you get the results, they also ask the same question. After completing the survey, what level do you think you are? And then I just said, well, maybe let's say B2 plus, something like this, and then they give you the results. So, but before the project, we started, the ProGlow 5 years ago, but I mean, I've been doing others, but before starting doing this project, I believe my level I'm sure my level was lower than this. So I have progressed in many levels. Of course, some levels I progressed more than others, and I still need to progress, especially this topic of digital problem solving, because when I have to admit that when I had this question, I thought, okay, but I'm a language teacher, so should I focus on teaching language? Should I actually include activities related to digital problem solving? So I think I was just a bit surprised when I actually saw this. And all of us, that was interesting to notice that all of us said that this was the competencies where we all have to improve. So we want to continue. Yeah, because
regardless of our background, we all sit on the same competence. Right?
Yeah. Yes, thank you. I imagine it's also a nice surprise then to hear that you thought you were not as good and then you did really well. So
Professor Hulme from Canada and I both said the same thing, is we scored ourselves lower, but when the assessment actually asked us specific detailed questions, then we realized, well, yes, we are doing this and we are doing this. Now, I will say for design, it's more of what we call design process, systems thinking, and we do a design pinup and troubleshooting, but it's inherent with the actual project. And I think what we all realize from this is we might need to actually generate a specific assessment or exercises within the project so that we're actually assessing that digital problem solving, as Paula alerted to, Professor Fonseca, and also the analyzing the evidence. We weren't actually doing that. I do it in a separate class, but we weren't actually doing it for this project. So it's interesting. We all learned from this. Things that we have to work on, areas for improvement.
I don't know if Regina wants to also say.
Yes, I wanted to. Yes, thank you. This is Regina Brautlacht from the Hochschule Bonn-Rhein-Sieg, and we've been very much engaged for, I think, nearly 10 years in virtual exchange, and we've been so focused on student competencies and how to do something really to improve our projects, that I think is a really good new focus that we're having on ourselves and how we can improve things. And we do see a difference in the focus in the different countries. So in Europe, we have a different focus than in North America, and the backgrounds are very different. So I think that we're learning from each other from that, but I think we're now analyzing it at this point. So I think we've come to, I want to say we're at a different level, but we're certainly looking at different aspects to improve our own performance and to analyze. And I think for me, it was really, I was really surprised to see it visualized, my competences, how I rate myself and how others see themselves. And we do have a difference. And when we look at North America, they've always had a double, triple the technical before COVID, what they were able to do. They just pressed a button and they could record in the classroom. They had so many different things that we were dreaming about, no? But we have gone on the more pedagogical and virtual collaboration side where we bring a lot more to the table. So I think the combination is just excellent. And I'm very excited to also go into this area of looking at ourselves again, and not, we're student centered, but we also want to look at ourselves and make sure that we improve our own performance. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. I don't see any more comments on the chat, so
Can I just add one thing to what?
Yes, I was just going to ask you if there are any closing remarks, please.
Regina, what Regina said is so true. And I think that when we as educators are aware of what we do and we try to improve what we do, it's obvious that we are going to also help, in turn, our students become more independent, more autonomous, more goal-oriented, because we are better equipped to help them as well. To do better. And so when we do better, in turn, our students will as well. And I just want to say that working with these, all of these, I'm going to say young ladies, is a pleasure, because we work so well. We're all from different backgrounds, we're from different countries, and yet we are able to work towards a common goal and not only help our students, but also help each other improve and or improve not only ourselves, but also our digital competences. So we are also a support group as well.
Thank you.
That was the perfect final note. Thank you so much for your presentation. Thank you to everybody who joined us today on our virtual stage, both at home and here in Berlin. Thank you, everybody. And we hope to see you today, tomorrow, in the other workshops, panels, and so on. So have a nice afternoon, everybody.
Thank you.